late 2024, Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile all admitted the same thing. Their lawful intercept systems, the ones they build for law enforcement, had been compromised by a Chinese state actor called Salt Typhoon. For how long? Years. For what? Wiretap infrastructure for politicians, including a presidential campaign. 16 months later, what have we actually fixed? Let's go. This is Tech Updates. If you haven't been paying attention to the Typhoon campaigns, and that's fair, there's a lot going on, here's the quick catch-up. Starting around 2022, Microsoft Threat Intel started tracking a family of Chinese state-sponsored attack campaigns and naming them after typhoons. Salt Typhoon, Volt Typhoon, Flax Typhoon. Different goals, different targets, same broader strategy. All three are active. All three involve long-dwell, quiet compromises of US infrastructure. Today we talk about what actually got fixed. Because 16 months after the Salt Typhoon disclosures, the answer is less than you think. Late October 2024, the Wall Street Journal publishes a story that the FBI is investigating a breach of US telecommunications companies. Over the next 6 weeks, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Lumen, and Charter all confirmed they were compromised. What did they get? 3 things, in order of severity. 1. Call detail records for millions of Americans. Metadata. Who called who, when, for how long, not the content. But metadata is powerful. You can learn a lot from this campaign staffer called this donor at 2 a.m. the day before the primary. 2. Live location data for high-value targets. Cell tower pings. They could track specific people in near real time. Senators, campaign officials, intelligence community members, including, according to reporting, both the Trump and Harris presidential campaigns. 3. And this is the big one, access to CALEA systems, the lawful intercept infrastructure that US telecoms are required to build and maintain for law enforcement. The FBI's Wiretap backdoor became the PRC's Wiretap backdoor. CALEA is a 1994 law, the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act. It requires US telecoms to build backdoors into their infrastructure so the FBI can conduct legal wiretaps with a warrant. Original intent was straightforward: lawful surveillance with judicial oversight. The technical reality is that CALEA created a centralized, standardized interface for exfiltrating calls and data at telecom scale, which is, and this was predicted by literally every cryptographer and security researcher from 1994 onwards, a juicy target for anyone who can get into the telecoms network. Salt Typhoon's contribution to the world was showing us that the FBI's backdoor is also the PRC's backdoor. This was predicted, I want to say, by everyone, and dismissed. I want to say by everyone in government. Here we are. Volt Typhoon is different. Volt Typhoon isn't stealing data. Volt Typhoon is pre-positioning. Starting around 2023, CISA and NSA started tracking Volt Typhoon's compromise of water utilities, power utilities, and energy pipelines. Not stealing from them, just sitting there, with persistence, with credentials, with capability. The intelligence community's assessment is that Volt Typhoon is establishing the capability to disrupt US critical infrastructure in the event of a Taiwan Strait conflict, shut off water to a major city, take a regional grid offline, interrupt fuel logistics, not espionage, military preparation. February 2026. CISA published a lessons learned report on the Typhoon family, 100+ pages. Some of it is good, some of it is uncomfortable. The good parts. CISA has significantly improved intel sharing with telecoms. The FCC pushed mandatory CALEA audits. NIST updated its 853 telecom controls. The uncomfortable parts. Most telecoms rotated credentials but didn't fundamentally redesign access. The CALEA architecture is still the CALEA architecture. We have not fixed the underlying design problem, which is centralized backdoors at every carrier, and the OT side, industrial control, barely moved. This is where Volt Typhoon lives. CISA's assessment is that critical infrastructure OT networks remain largely unchanged from pre-2023 posture. That's a terrifying sentence to read in a government report. If you run OT, industrial control, SCADA, anything with a PLC, the uncomfortable question is, when was the last time you replaced your field gear? If the answer is the early 2010s, that's most of you, those devices were never designed for the threat model we're living in. They trust everything on the network. The network is now everywhere. Do the math. The OT security community has been warning about this since about 2015. Nobody listened because the ROI was invisible. You don't get promoted for the attack that doesn't happen. An industrial kit has 20 to 30-year life cycles. You're not replacing a $2 million turbine controller because a security person says it's sketchy. Volt Typhoon is what happens when nobody replaces the kit. The architectural answer is well known. Purdue model enforcement, network segmentation between IT and OT, zero trust for OT gateways, out-of-band management for all SCADA. If this vocabulary sounds familiar, yes, this is Objective 3.5 from our Network Plus series. Out-of-band management, jump servers, segregated VLANs. The playbook is the same. It's just being applied to water treatment plants instead of corporate networks. You can't fix critical infrastructure security with product purchases. Even the best OT security product is moot if the utility doesn't have the budget to deploy it. The actual solution is regulation. It's treating water utilities and regional grid operators and fuel pipelines as critical national infrastructure with all the funding, audits, and accountability that implies. We have that framework for nuclear plants. We do not have it for water treatment. There's a bipartisan bill in committee right now, the Critical Infrastructure Cybersecurity Improvement Act, that would bring OT under CISA with mandatory incident reporting and minimum cybersecurity standards. It's been in committee for 9 months. It'll probably die in committee. Meanwhile, the FCC's mandatory CALEA audits actually happened. The audits found predictably that most telecoms were not compliant with the existing standards. Rule violations at every major carrier, fines being levied. Actual teeth, that's a rare win. Salt Typhoon was inside the telecoms for years. Volt Typhoon is inside critical infra right now, and their goal isn't espionage, it's pre-positioning for sabotage in a future conflict. This is not a security problem you solve with a product purchase. This is infrastructure. This is policy. This is telecoms and utilities being treated as critical national infrastructure with all the regulation and funding that implies. We're not there yet. I hope we get there before the next one. The lesson to take away. If you're in network security, watch the OT space. It's where the threat is. It's where the attention is finally starting to land, and it's where the next generation of security careers is going to be built. That's Tech Updates. I'm Andres. One more to go. Next episode, non-human identities. The thing 45:1 of every machine-to-human ratio is hiding in your network right now. See you there.